So do you think that, and this is generally speaking, that organizations are on the right track in terms of strategies used to engage and retain women in STEM? I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on that, and not only just like what's missing, but also like what is working, like what are models that are successful that we could try and replicate elsewhere.
That's a tough question, Lori. So I'm thinking, as you were asking
Listen,
the question, I was thinking about the McKinsey report on women in the workplace, and you can see from the report that, yeah, women of color are not making it into the C-suite or on boards. And so it makes me wonder if the initiatives that companies do, is it more performative than it really is going to be impactful? And are the people who are implementing or instituting different initiatives internally, do they look like the people they're trying to impact? So I think about, Jessica, what you were sharing about how when you're out in the community, they're like, wow, there's someone like me, which makes you more comfortable and wanting to come forward and say yes to the vaccine, because you're hearing from somebody who looks like you that you would trust. So I don't know, Lori. I think there's a
yeah.
long way to
I feel
go.
like it is a very loaded question for sure. But
Yeah.
like if it's helpful, I went to this conference. Maybe this will if this is a helpful anecdote. I was at a conference and we were the group was talking about getting more women on boards, especially women of color on boards. And the discussion was around like, what does that look like? How do we make that happen? And so someone stood up in the audience, asked a question, be like, what do I need to do to kind of get to this space? And the entire panel was like training, 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 training. And this was actually a catalyst for myself too, in terms of like how I looked at this. And so this old lady, she stood up in the middle of the audience and just yelled. She was like, why are we making women do all this training and trying to fit these women into male molds, like white male molds, right? It's not the measure of success. It's opposite of what we should be doing. Because if we use that as a measure for success for women, it's never going to work because
Oh,
we're not that.
yeah, totally agree. It's that, like, training, you need training to be on a board, training to do this, and it's not an ability factor. It's that there maybe lack of mentorship for people who don't look like you. Not speaking to us. I mentor women who look like me, because how are you going to otherwise really advance your career? But internally, it's the people who are in those positions of leadership, seeking out mentor opportunities with people who don't look like them. That would be
Mhm.
the difference. I don't know if there's an a DE&I initiative that would be the answer. I think it could start small, as someone being self-aware enough to say, oh, I need to think about mentoring or sponsoring, maybe more sponsoring, because that's, if you have the right sponsor, they're going to talk you up behind closed doors when it's time for promotions, when it's time for bonuses. They'll be the one to talk you up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
it's
think that,
it's no,
sorry, Shannon.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's there is no one way to actually bring in any initiatives. Just like there's no same way to say training is the way that women are going to get into those boards. But one of the things that I know that MassBio does, and I'm really excited about, is that we have a DEI survey that we send out to our members, and a lot to the life sciences, just to, one, get the temperature of what DEI means for them. And it's a very open and honest conversation around, like, what do they need to do to have more diversity. And when we say diversity of thought, diversity of color, diversity of age, of ability in their industry and in their company specifically. So we actually have our next report coming, 2023, we're doing another survey. So, and we're sending it out to our members and non-members of MassBio, so that we can also aggregate information to just learn about what we can do in the life sciences, just because we support the life sciences, and we definitely want to see it do more. We want to see more representation in the boards, science, in all of the career levels. So it's, I would say there's many different ways to do it. I do believe what you said, Shannyn, is acknowledging where you are and how you can do that too. So like stepping outside of yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the listening, like you're describing the surveys, the listening is really important, and sincere listening. And then after the listening, okay, what action can be taken?
Yeah, for sure. And also not having that, because I know it specifically for me, if somebody tells me something that I feel like is contradictory to what I think of myself, I'm like, no, that's not the case. But also like, actually like acknowledging like, okay, this is beyond you, so you have to actually take the time to understand that this person is seeing something differently. So how is it that you can truly make change? So
Yes.
Mhm.
I have one question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And it's also not a pipeline issue. So, there's not a pipeline of women in STEM. There's the pipeline. It's that they're not making it past, let's say, manager level in their organizations. So as you were mentioning, Amanda, the survey and listening and actually being intentional and deliberate about how do you make sure that women of color are advancing